One of the hardest things to pin down in Avatar for me was its themes. Each character faces such wildly different challenges that it's hard to really pin down one specific theme that encapsulates all the character arcs. Some arcs even contradict each other on a fundamental level. Zuko's arc is about choosing your destiny, and Aang's arc is about accepting and growing into the destiny that was chosen for you. The theme of the show can't be choosing your destiny and growing into the destiny that was bestowed onto you at the same time. This all meant to me that there was more than one theme in Avatar. Therefore, in order to fully encapsulate all of the themes and messages in the show, I'll necessarily have to talk about them separately. Therefore, I'll be making multiple videos on Avatar's themes. The theme we'll be talking about today is seeing people as individuals. Judging people by the content of their character, not the affiliation of their tribe. This is the first part of the philosophy of Avatar. Perhaps the most direct example of this theme manifesting is with the character arc of Toph. Toph is physically disabled but has learned to make that her strength. Toph is the greatest earthbender in the world and invented metal bending. She did all that and earned her label in spite and because of her disability. It's a back and forth relationship. Aang, Sokka, and Katara acknowledge her blindness but don't do much more than that. More importantly, to them, she's a friend. It's unfortunate that her parents don't reciprocate this attitude. They see her not as a girl with talents, abilities, and a passion, but as a weakless, helpless, defenseless, and fragile girl. They see her blindness and automatically assume this about her. Once it's made clear that even though she's blind, she's still a very capable child and a very capable fighter, her parents refuse to acknowledge this. They're unable to change the fabricated image they have of their daughter and refuse to give her agency. This insecurity plagued her until she spoke with Iroh, and he reminded her that not everyone sees her as weak. She has friends who see her for who she is and not what she has, or rather what she doesn't have. She lashed out at Katara because she believed that Katara didn't think she could take care of herself, but that was a misinterpretation. They see her as strong and capable, but more than that, they see her as a friend, someone who belongs on Team Avatar. That's why they want her to help them. It's not that she can't pull her weight, this is just a way they could deepen the friendship. The same sentiment rings with Iroh asking if she wanted tea. It isn't because she's incompetent, but because she's loved. Friendship is one of those things that Toph doesn't initially understand, but over the course of the narrative, she does begin to learn. Sokka starts off extremely judgmental. He views Aang as a threat because he's an outsider and someone who's unfamiliar. He sees women as weak and feeble, but ultimately comes to respect them. His humbling experience with the Kyoshi warriors made him realize that he can't just judge people based off their appearance. He then learns that tribe affiliation is not the entire story. It's not as simple as Fire Nation equals bad and everyone else equals good. Sokka judges the Fire Nation old man in the Jet episode based on his merit and not his character. Even someone like Zuko, once it's made clear that he changed, Sokka accepts him. Zuko learns this lesson in a different way. Growing up, he believed the Fire Nation was the most superior nation there was, and that the war was their way of sharing that greatness with the rest of the world. What an amazing lie that was. It isn't until Zuko and Iroh split up where Zuko's development really begins. Most prominently, in Zuko alone, Zuko begins to see the world from another nation's perspective. Zuko leaves his Fire Nation life and becomes a member of the Earth Kingdom. This nurtures a level of humility he was never forced to acknowledge before. In order to keep his identity hidden, he's forced to step back and look at things through a wider lens, no longer focused on himself. This is shown symbolically with his scar. His vision is impaired on his scarred eye, but clear on his other eye. When he's looking through the Fire Nation lens, his vision is metaphorically and physically impaired. In Zuko alone, Zuko learns that people don't actually like the Fire Nation, and that the Fire Nation has inflicted some serious damage onto families. At the end of the episode, in a sort of poetic justice, he is discriminated based on his national affiliation. He was subject to the intolerance his nation brought onto the world. It's this experience that allows Zuko to eventually understand things from different perspectives. The broader societal implication of this theme is clear. It's as Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Judge people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin." It's as Jesus himself put it, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with righteous judgment." You ought to judge people based on their individual characteristics, not their immutable characteristics. Judge the individual by the individual standards, not the group standards. I must say now that group identities in themselves aren't always bad. They can actually be fairly harmless. Lakers and Celtics fans can have playful banter. There's no harm in showing patriotism for your country at the Olympics, for example. Different groups can even celebrate their differences in art and music and dance and clothing and food. Making broad, group-based generalizations is actually necessary a lot of times. When I say white men can't jump, I don't mean literally every single white man can't jump. I'm just making a general statement that white people tend to not be very good at jumping. Of course you can find outliers, but this was just a broad, sweeping, and general statement. These differences are benign and ultimately superficial. They may even be able to bring people together. But like all things, there needs to be a balance. We don't celebrate the Aztecs and their culture of human sacrifice, but we do celebrate Chinese food and appreciate Japanese anime. In Avatar, there's vegetarians and meat eaters. Aang will tolerate that, but he won't tolerate Fire Nation supremacy. We acknowledge and celebrate how people are racially and ethnically different, but we ought not to tolerate things like racial superiority, sexism, and eugenics. We need a balance of celebrating these differences and not letting them consume us. This is partly why the Avatar exists. He's there to show us that we are all actually connected. There's no reason to hold prejudice against the inalienable characteristics of people because at the end of the day, we're all people, and as people, we share the same inherent value, but they are inherently equal and deserve the same human dignity. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that there's good and bad people from all nations. From the beginning of the show, it's made clear that not all firebenders are bad people. One of the sages in the winter solstice turned out to be a good guy, and I believe that was a precursor setting us up to how the show would tackle this theme later on. The Fire Nation has Ozai, but it also has Iroh. The Water Tribe has Hama, but also has Katara. The first theme in Avatar is seeing people as individuals. It's the philosophy of not judging by appearances, but judging with right judgment. Thanks for watching.